Welcome to Countyline. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to Countyline, the program that features news and information about Allen County government. And we are coming to you on this edition of Countyline from the 6th floor of the Ed Rousseau Center in downtown Fort Wayne, a floor that has undergone quite a bit of renovation over the last year and soon will be the new home of the Consolidated Communication Partnership 911 dispatching service for Fort Wayne and Allen County. Tim Lee is the executive director of the CCP, and he's kind of given us a look-see at what things are like up here, and we'll explain a little bit about what they'll be capable of doing from the 6th floor. First of all, Tim, thanks for bringing us up here and letting us take a look around.
Most definitely.
For folks who don't realize, dispatching services for years and years and years has been housed in the basement here at the Rousseau Center, originally known as the City County Building. Why are you needing to make the move up here to the 6th floor?
Well, one thing, you really have to focus on being proactive rather than reactive. With times changing, the ability of infrastructure and network infrastructure on the radio system and the phone system, we wanted to create an atmosphere that gives us the expandability and the redundancy that's needed to fulfill the obligation of being true first responding dispatchers. And the existing system in the basement, as we build the infrastructure of the new system, we were landlocked as far as space. So the ability for us to handle large storms like the June 29th storm of last year, we really couldn't facilitate to our full potential because we didn't have the room to have more bodies in place. Also, we want to take a look at the future. As we're building up and outward, we have the ability, if other centers would have issues, they can directly come in here and operate just as they would in their own center.
Now, you speak about a new system, and for folks who may not realize, this new system is something that's come about through a mandate from federal and state government. Explain a little bit about that.
Well, part of it, it's kind of twofold. On the radio system side of things, we have to become P25 compliant, and that is a federal mandate that brings us up to date on the technology in the 800 megahertz radio system. On the phone side of things, Next Generation 911 is a mandate coming in 2014, which also is part of the mandate of the consolidation of the two dispatch centers. With Next Generation 911, it creates the availability for us to work on an IP-based network that, as probably by the end of 2014, we'll see text to 911 capabilities coming out of this center.
Okay. So a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of money that's been put into this, but you're pretty pleased with the way things have gone, and you're going to be in here pretty soon.
We're looking to be in here by the end of January. I think with the assistance of the county maintenance and the engineering and the tools that we have with the diversity and the people that we have working this project, we've put together a beautiful platform that is the most state-of-the-art facility in the state of Indiana.
Okay. Well, let's take a look around at some of what you have here so folks can kind of get an idea of who's sitting where and why. Let's talk about this area as you first would come into the 6th floor. Kind of come over and show us a little bit and explain what this area is about.
What this is our direct interface. When a caller dials 911, what it does is it comes into these are called our call takers. So what they do is they triage the call and they direct it if it's police, fire, EMS. And what they do is they try and obtain information from the callers. What it does is the actual call comes into the center through a call taker, and as they triage that call, it's identified. If we have random callers where it's a high-risk situation or something, we have the ability to alert everybody around you that that's what we have. The center also has the ability, if we take a call and times of high volume, we can alert the dispatchers at the other end as well through an alerting system that those calls are coming in. So we constantly have readiness and availability. And because of the way we designed the center and as we move through the center, we created a more thorough process of those calls. So we're getting them out quicker and more efficiently and getting first responders there in a more abrupt manner.
Okay. And then we have an area over here Explain a little bit about what this is.
And what this is we plan for the future, and we plan for in the event one of our local dispatch centers would have a catastrophic emergency. We truly have designed this center at 100% redundancy. So if, per se, a Steuben County would collapse today in a storm event, we could bring them in through the phone system that's now regionalized through 9 counties, and we could integrate them into our phone system as well as the radio system and truly have them up and running just as if they were in their center within a matter of an hour.
So it'd be a seamless transition. In other words, a person who calls from Steuben County probably wouldn't even realize they were actually calling into Fort Wayne.
No, they would not. Even our computer-aided CAD system is the same base system that they utilize, so we truly, within an hour, could have them up and running and functional within the center.
Okay, let's check out a couple of the other pods that you have back here. Okay, now we've moved back a little further. This, to me, looks almost like a command-type center. Is that right?
That's pretty much the best way to look at it. What this does is it creates us the ability, again, to diversify. We have the ability to run license plates, warrants, and the general day-to-day operations that keeps everything focused off the main channel so that dispatchers can truly dedicate their time to the officers and the firefighters on the street. This also gives us the ability, though, is we can run a simulated mobile command out of here. Hostage standoffs, large storms, things like that. We have the ability to move those onto these channels and specifically concentrate dispatchers to handle those types of incidents.
So while each area may have a specific purpose in general, you still allowed yourself flexibility so that you can, if necessary, widen out in terms of taking emergency phone calls in different areas.
Correct. The way the center is designed is we can truly take any position and create it into another position. So we can truly transition a police channel and actually move it to a fire channel. It's just configuration changes. And the center is designed for that, so we can readily move employees as needed.
And again, you have your light poles, your warning poles up around here. Again, if it's a situation where you had to alert other dispatchers that you have an emergency call coming in one area, a lot of attention can be focused in this area.
Correct. It draws the attention to what event you have. So we're truly focusing on addressing the most crucial need at that time.
Okay. Now, are your supervisors in this area, or where are they located?
Okay. What it is our supervisors are centrally located.
Okay.
In close proximity to the event. Now, the way the center is designed, we have a backup supervisor's position. So if we had another large storm, that we could truly divide those resources. So one supervisor could handle the bulk of the day-to-day traffic, and then we could concentrate another supervisor to handle the bulk of the oncoming event. The supervisor has the ability to send out all of our pages for our specialty teams, but they also have the ability to take control of any channel, any position, listen to any call within the center at any time.
Okay. And let's take a look at some of the other parts of the 6th floor. All right, we've moved back to now one of the rear corners of the 6th floor. This area is for dispatchers in general.
This is centralized police dispatch.
Okay.
One thing we had down in the basement is, due to the confines of where we were at, you had county police dispatch on one side of the building and city police dispatch on the other side of the building. And if you had to relay information, you physically either had to pick up a phone and call from one side of the other building, or you had to holler the information across.
Yeah, the infamous glass wall, as some people might remember.
What we did coming up here is we created efficiency and ergonomics. We pulled all police together into one pod. So now the City of Fort Wayne police quadrants and Allen County Sheriff's Office quadrants are now in the same area. So now that dialogue is centrally located, so the resources are truly, police are working with police.
So while it is a consolidated communications partnership, you still have dispatchers who are primarily focused on city police and those for county police and sheriff, as well as city and county fire departments.
You have them dedicated to a specific channel. One thing we've really promoted is cross-training, so the dispatchers as they are today can work any position at any time. So you could truly take a former county sheriff's dispatcher and put them in a city police department dispatching position. And again, that creates part of our ergonomics of giving that ability to move from position to position at any time, facilitate the need.
And speaking of ergonomics, something you were showing, these are ADA compliant stations.
Yes, one thing we did is as we were building out, we looked at the infrastructure and the systems that we have currently. The dispatch positions we have put in are ergonomic. They also are air-cooled. Every piece of equipment that's coming in is now brand new. We also have the computer systems. All the wiring is now safety ADA compliant. No wiring hangs down. Everything is controlled in chases. The computer systems are internally housed, and they're also air-cooled, so it cuts down on the wear and tear of the systems.
Something people may have noticed in the background, you have several monitors, television monitors around. What's the purpose of those?
Well, one thing we promote is we got to have current events. We got to know what's going on, sure. and many times the news media will release stuff before we're aware of it. So we kind of keep an eye on that, but we also want to know the most current weather. It's going to be nice. We always got the phone call, what's the weather like in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and you're in a basement and you have no idea. Well, they can truly see it now, but showing the weather that's coming gives us a preemptive ability to make the citizens aware if we need to.
The emphasis is not only on communicating with the outside public, but communicating inside as well.
Right. We went from downstairs and the glass wall, right. Per se. It could have been a 6-foot thick wall because the communication stopped at the wall. Now we have put these pods together, so now they are more fluid in their conversation, and we have the ability to get resources more efficiently, because truly the city of Fort Wayne and Allen County, they respond together.
Right.
And your nearest backup may be a sheriff's department for the city of Fort Wayne, and before you're calling across the room, now they're looking over their shoulder and saying, hey, do you have somebody close? So now we're going to create those efficiencies and get those responders there quicker.
Something you talked about a little earlier was being able to help out surrounding counties in the event of a major emergency for them. Some people may be aware of the fact that there is some talk about possibly regionalizing dispatching services. In other words, Fort Wayne and Allen County might be the hub for several counties where you would serve from a dispatching standpoint. What kind of ability has this change up here on the 6th floor given you for, if that were to come about?
Well, one thing, part of the infrastructure is already in place. When we built this, again, through the IT side of things, we have created the ability for expandability. The structure as it is today has the ability to expand up to 30%. Looking at our local corresponding agencies or corresponding counties, we could truly add an additional 4 counties to this center and still not even touch the edges of what it's capable of.
And again, do that, I would say in a moment's notice, but you'd be able to do it in a relatively short period of time.
Yes, because all the technology is already in place. It's pretty much a plug-and-play atmosphere at this point.
And I know you have a room that is housing a whole lot of equipment. Tell us a little bit about that room.
Well, one thing, the radio side of things, being that we are to be P25 compliant, we have the most state-of-the-art radio system, even further advanced than the state of Indiana, is housed centrally within this building. On the phone side of things, we now control the controller for Northeast Indiana. So 911 for Northeast Indiana is centrally located and ran through this building now.
And you have to have, as you mentioned before, not only out here but in that room as well, some giant cooling equipment, because this stuff cannot afford to get hot.
Correct. This building, again, in the pre-planning phases, is 100% redundant. We've got 3 power feeds to this building. We have redundant power for this building, generator power. The same thing on the network side. We've got 4 different strands of fiber coming in here, so truly the possibility of failure is slim to none. The floor is on its own HVAC system, the radio room is on its own HVAC system, the fire suppression system is based on this floor and this floor only. So we truly could be self-sufficient in the time of an emergency for long periods of time.
I would imagine the folks down in the basement currently are pretty excited about the prospect of getting up here.
Windows and windows alone has changed morale.
I'll bet it has, because you do get a really nice view of the city from up here, but like you said, down there in the basement, pretty dank dark. I mean, that's what a basement is, so it's
correct.
So this is going to be a nice change of pace for them, but the equipment as well, you'll have some training obviously they'll need to do on this.
Yeah, we've already started the initial phases of training, and through the next month we'll be training in depth on a pretty repetitive basis, so when we do make the transition it will be seamless.
And it should be latter part of January, kind of, is that what you're looking at right now, to have this up and fully running with folks staffing it?
Yes, that's projected is by the end of January we'll be up and running.
An impressive setup that you have here, Tim. Thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to come up and take a look around. We appreciate it, and best of luck to you and your crew as they start out working in this new location.
All right, thank you very much.
The Allen County court system has become well recognized here in the state of Indiana for beginning several progressive programs, the drug reentry program and the restoration court program, just to name a couple. Well, a new program has been undertaken in the Allen County court system involving both the circuit and superior courts that deals with a particular segment of our community, the veterans. And with us today to talk more about this program, Judge Fran Gull from Allen Superior Court and Judge Tom Feltz from Allen Circuit Court. And judges, first of all, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, as always. Thank you, Mike. Judge Feltz, let's talk a little bit about the Veterans Treatment Court here in Allen County. You folks established this right around Veterans Day, quite appropriately. Tell me a little bit about why this was started.
Like you said, Mike, the Allen County has been on the forefront statewide about problem-solving courts in general. Many years ago, Judge Gull and her predecessors started a drug treatment court here in Allen County, which has been very successful and has been on, again, as you said, one of the forefront courts in the state of Indiana. Starting that same, along the same line of thinking, we established our mental health restoration court about 4 years ago, and that's been certified by the Indiana Judicial Center as well. We started to hear about the next wave in problem-solving courts being veteran treatment courts. There were a couple already in existence in Indiana, and so we wanted to find out kind of what they were about and whether that'd be a good fit here in Allen County. I think at the same time, both Judge Gull and I noticed that of the people going through her drug court and my mental health restoration court were gentlemen and ladies identified as veterans who had a particular subset of difficulties or problems. It's kind of a stereotype to indicate that some of these gentlemen and ladies come back from combat or come back from service in general, have experienced certain problems directly resulting from that, and maybe either not wanting to or not knowing how to be able to tackle them very well. They mask, I think is the word people use, their difficulty in coping with these problems with either drugs or alcohol, and therefore found themselves ending up in our court systems. So when we saw the couple with the idea of what were veterans treatment courts and could they be a good fit here in Allen County, and seeing them in our population, it seemed a very opportune time for us to take a hard look at the issue, find out a little bit more what veteran treatment courts were about, and then see if we could find a use for them here. At the same time, the Veterans Administration really has stepped up. They have been kind of in and out of their association with the court system and with the county and state government as well. And it seemed like they were kind of not really being very attuned to those needs in the past. For whatever reason, and I don't really know exactly how, but in the last year and a half or 2 years, they really have again recognized that this is a big problem. I think a lot of the people coming back from the most recent conflicts, I think, were found themselves on their doorstep, and they found they had some involvement with the court system as well. And so they've taken this matter very seriously as well. And I think, again, the combination of their stepping up the plate, along with the other two regions I mentioned, everything seemed to come together at the same time.
And the Veterans Treatment Court program is still, I guess, fairly new. Here in Indiana, we don't have that many.
We have about a half a dozen or so veteran treatments court throughout the state of Indiana. I believe our court is the first collaborative effort between a circuit court problem solving and a superior court problem solving court. And we found when we were at the first ever Veterans Court Conference that the beauty of veterans courts and the beauty of our particular veterans treatment court is the fact that it takes the drug court modality, marries it to the mental health modality that Judge Feltz presides over and creates this Veterans Treatment Court because it's to resolve and to address the issues that our veterans have coming back from combat and coming back from service in general, where they're dealing with long deployments away from home. Perhaps one of the things that we heard a lot about was post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury that we don't see in our general population of the mental health court and in the drug court population.
As part of this program, are you flagging or looking as individuals come through your respective courts, looking for those individuals who are veterans, and are there certain qualifications they have to meet or certain things you're looking for that would make them particularly in need of this type of court treatment program?
We will flag them as early as the time of arrest, because one of the things that we've discovered is that the sooner that we can get them into the mental health treatment through restoration court or drug treatment through the drug court, the better for them. So we would intend to flag folks early on. We continue to both work with the prosecuting attorney, who has been tremendously supportive of this initiative. Unfortunately, they weren't able to attend the conference with us, but I've spoken to the elected prosecutor. I know that Judge Feltz has as well, that they're very supportive of identifying early on veterans that would be eligible for this particular program and funneling them into our Joint Veterans Treatment Court.
And Judge Feltz, tell us a little bit about what kind of services or what they would obtain by going through this program.
Mike, that's been the beauty of this whole project, is that, again, not only has the Veterans Administration itself stepped forward, but both Judge Gull and I have found the community as a whole to be just tremendously supportive and excited about this effort, and calling us, saying, what can we do for you? Included among those people, I hope, the problem being you might be missing somebody, but of course the VA themselves, and they've identified a particular kind of a new classification of employee called a Veterans Justice Outreach Officer. And we were finally, after a lot of ask on our part, were granted one who's serving both us and kind of the Northeast Indiana area in general earlier this year, and her name is Rita Wynn, and she's been a great asset to us so far. There's also a vet center in Fort Wayne that handles, offers counseling programs for combat veterans primarily. We've worked with the Air National Guard unit here in town. They've been involved in our staffing as well. Associated Churches has called us and asked, what can we do to help you? Various other treatment providers, a Shepherd's House with their housing for veterans that's been kind of well known in the Fort Wayne area the last couple of years. Just been empty. Then, of course, our community corrections staff, criminal division services staff, and Judge Gull. We just had an awful lot of help. In fact, the first staffing we had, Mike, right the day after Veterans Day when we launched our effort, there were 24 people seated around the table to staff these cases. And that had to be an all-time record, I think. We were very proud of that.
So kind of explain, as a person who might be eligible for this program, as they come through the court process, I guess one question I have is, are they still participating in the program while serving an incarceration period, or is this sort of a program where they're allowed to serve the sentence outside of behind bars?
Kind of both. I know that we've got some folks through Judge Feltz's program that are on home detention and serving a sentence or under supervision. The beauty about this is that we are attempting and are holding our veterans accountable for conduct that has occurred in their civilian lives. That's very important for people to understand, that they're not getting preferential treatment. We're just recognizing the fact that they come to us with a different subset of problems that we're trying to deal with. So they are serving a sentence potentially, or in the drug court program at least, they're coming through on a plea of guilty, and the sentencing is then deferred until another time. If they successfully complete, they can get the charges dismissed or greatly reduced.
Not unlike someone who has committed a crime, but I guess the reasons or circumstances connected to it may be outside of the crime itself. As you mentioned, someone who has a drug problem who then commits a robbery because they're trying to get money to take care of their drug habit. You're trying to cure the problem that led to the crime in the first place.
Correct, correct. We're trying to identify what is bringing folks into the criminal justice system and how can we effectively collaborate, work together to get that person the help that they need, hold them accountable, protect the community, and hold that particular veteran accountable for their conduct.
Judge Gall mentioned just a moment ago a conference, and I know the two of you just recently came back from a conference in Washington, D.C., where the Veterans Treatment Court programs across the country were talked about. What did you learn there as far as how our program, which is still pretty much in its infancy, are we providing the things we need to, and did you get any ideas for things that we could be adding down the road?
I can probably answer that in two ways, Mike. First of all, it was very helpful to us to identify, I think, aspects of the way we do things better. Simple thing, during a court session, it was a great session where all the judges involved in the courts all met together, kind of a brainstorming session, and kind of passed the microphone around the room, and each judge offered an idea of what he or she might do in his or her court to help, like starting the court session with the Pledge of Allegiance, or having a particular graduation ceremony more like a military ceremony, having special sessions on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, things like that from a more specific point. But I think the better benefit that we've talked about since we've come back is just maybe educating ourselves better on how the veteran got to that place and got to here in the first place. The similarity between a veteran going through a structured program in court with the structured program the veteran was used to when he or she was in the service. Some of the pride elements of a veteran seemingly not always wanting to ask for help and being difficult for the veteran to step forward and say, I need this help. So often I know even in our other courts, Judge Gall, I know, and I have had people come up to us and say, thank you. It might sound strange, but I was glad I was arrested. It got me the help that I needed. It made me take that first step forward. So I think, Mike, we learned a lot of specific detail things, but I think more greatly we learned more of a mindset and educational perspective.
And obviously this is a benefit for the veteran and the individual, but this is also a benefit for our correction system, our court system, our jails and prison system.
Oh, absolutely. And don't forget the families. The veterans' families, oftentimes they are also serving with their loved one that particular deployment or that particular combat rotation. And the families suffer as well. And one of the things that we'll be looking at, hopefully not right now, as we're still in the baby steps of getting this going, but perhaps at some point in time looking at what are the families going through and how can we help the family members. The support that the families can provide to the veteran as they're going through our programs is going to be critical.
Because sometimes the family may recognize there's a problem at the outset, but they may not know exactly who to turn to.
They may not know who to turn to. And oftentimes, you're in a matter of crisis and somebody is at their worst when they've been arrested and they're sitting in the jail. And family members don't know what to do, and they're at a loss, and they've tried perhaps with this particular veteran to get them into treatment. But as Judge Feltz has pointed out, oftentimes there's an amount of pride that I can handle this. Right. I handled it while I was overseas. I can handle this here, and they can't, and they do need the help. So one of the things that we're hopeful that we can instill back in them, as Judge Feltz has said, that sense of pride, that sense of belonging, because one of the things we heard from veterans that had been through veterans treatment courts is the fact that they've been deployed to Afghanistan perhaps, and they've come back to the United States, and they don't feel like they fit in anymore. They've had a very stressful 7, 8, 12, 14 months deployment. Away from family, away from friends, and then boom, here they are back in the United States, and they're having a hard time fitting in, and they self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. They don't address mental health issues that they need to be addressing, and things just kind of spiral out of control.
Is the problem also rooted sometimes in the fact that some of these folks come home and they don't have an opportunity to find gainful employment when they return, and they may feel their only alternative is to turn to avenues that wind up leading into this room?
Well, sure. Employment is always an issue for these gentlemen and ladies coming back. And of course, it's only compounded by the fact when they get involved in the criminal justice system and their employment opportunities go down the tubes even more at that point. One thing that we're hopefully be able to offer, again, modeling after some comments we heard from judges out there, was that trying to present these veterans who are in our system, but what a great employee that those veterans might be. Again, we get them back, and we got them back on track, get them back in a structure. They're drug tested regularly, they're counseled regularly, they're told that they're having someone watch over their shoulder regularly. I mean, what better employee could you have at that point? So we're hoping to offer that as another service, again, as we go further on down the road.
And you mentioned the Veterans Administration. What are some of the other organizations here locally that have stepped up to help in getting this organized? Well,
again, I mentioned Associated Churches, and we're also going to, we have some contact with and want to pursue our contact with the American Legion, VFW, those sort of organizations, because they can provide something very important to the project that we're just starting to get on the edge of, and that's a Veterans Mentor Program. One model that we heard is very, very successful is that each veteran in the Veterans Treatment Court system will be assigned a veteran mentor, someone also has been in the service previously, maybe in the same branch of service, maybe at the same grade or same level, who can be a source of comfort, a source of inspiration, a source of accountability, a source of sponsorship, and the best source for those people will be our American Legion and VFW colleagues.
End of the day, what do you hope to get out of all of this?
Less crime, healthy men and women returning back, better family lives for those folks, stable employment, contributing taxpayers. These are men and women that volunteer. You know, less than 1% of our population has volunteered to serve our country. They know when they volunteer that there's the possibility of combat, that there's a possibility of lengthy deployments away from family and friends, and they volunteer anyway, and they're proud of their country. We are proud of them and proud of their service, and what we hope to get back from them is health.
It's the adage of paying back to them what they're owed, what they're due, right. And I know we or at least I can say that, I can't say it about the two of you, but as a civilian, not knowing exactly what they have been through as far as training and then, as you say, deployment and everything, it's really impossible to put yourself in their position and see what they've been through and understand what they're going through, right. And what has led them, like I say, unfortunately, to wind up in this courtroom. Right. But anything we can do to pay them back benefits them and benefits us as a society as well.
It absolutely benefits us as a society, which is why the Veterans Mentor Program is so critical and so very important. It's compared to, in combat, everybody has a battle buddy. And in our programs, they're going to have a battle buddy to help them get through the program, to coach them, to give them encouragement, to hold them accountable, and to just be there with them as they're going through this process, to connect them with services. I was surprised to talk to the veterans that are in the drug court program to find out how little they know of the benefits that they have available to them. And we've talked with one of our veterans experts, Bo Jarbo, who has been a tremendous source of information to connect veterans with services that they're entitled. That a lot of our folks didn't realize that they could utilize services at the VA because they've not been in combat. And it's like, well, you are entitled to these services. So that's been a real eye-opener for us, too.
Is there anything you wanted to add?
Just that, again, just from a purely maybe fiscal standpoint, if the federal government provides all these services for our veterans, it takes a burden off our local taxpayers, so it's a benefit to Allen County as well in that regard.
Well, it sounds like an exciting program, and we're really pleased that the two of you put this together and helped get the ball rolling on it. Thanks so much for joining us, Judge Fran Gull, Judge Tom Feltz, and talking to us about the Veterans Treatment Court program here in Allen County.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, Christmas is over. We hope Santa was good to you and brought you everything on your list, including maybe a new electronic item that you had, like a new iPhone to replace your old cell phone, or maybe you got one of the new iPads or computer pads to replace a laptop that you had. Now the question is, what do I do with the old electronic items that I had? Maybe they continue to function, maybe not. What's the best way to get rid of them? Well, putting them in your trash container is not a good idea. In fact, it's against the law. We're going to talk about ways you can either reuse, recycle, or properly dispose of your old electronic items. Austin Carpenter is with the Allen County Solid Waste District, and he's here to talk to us more about the options that you have available to you. First of all, Austin, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay. Let's talk about, first of all, an effort that the Solid Waste Management District has undertaken to make people more aware of improperly disposing of your electronics.
Yeah, we've kind of partnered with the city and with some of the local trash haulers to really get out this awareness campaign about e-waste being disposed of in the trash at the curb. We've kind of noticed that it's been a problem, so we've kind of initiated this program that kind of makes people more aware of the things that they shouldn't be putting in their trash and what they can do with it and why it's bad.
And folks may not realize, because it is still relatively new, but there is a law in Indiana that prohibits this from happening.
Yeah, yep. At the end of 2011, there was a landfill ban on e-waste. So, we've had a couple years to kind of get used to that and start implementing a program, and I think that we've rolled out a good one.
But you are still seeing some of this type of material showing up on curbs or in trash cans or even recycling bins.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever be able to capture all of it. But, I think that the stuff that's in plain sight is what the haulers will be putting stickers on, letting people know, why they can't take it and what they can do with it instead of putting it in the trash.
Okay, so if one of the trash haulers happens to see an item, say like an old laptop out, one of these stickers will go on it.
Yeah, they won't take it, but they will put one of the stickers on there letting you know what you can do with it and just kind of why they can't take it.
And for folks who may not be aware, it would seem to be kind of common sense, I guess, but what's the problem with putting items such as these in landfills?
Well, e-waste, they have hazardous components in them, and they're not, once they get thrown in a trash truck or a recycling truck, they're not really gently handled anymore. So they get broken, and the hazardous materials, they have an opportunity to be exposed, and that's not something that we really want in our environment.
Seep into the soil and, like you say, into the environment.
In the landfill, it has potential to maybe get into a water supply, maybe down the road, and that's just not something that we want to deal with.
Okay. When we're talking about electronic items, I mean, we've talked about old cell phones, old laptops. Kind of give us an idea of some of the other examples of electronic items that we're talking about that cannot be placed in landfills.
We don't encourage any e-waste or any kind of electric item to be put in the trash to the landfill. But the items, common items we can take at our recycling program are, TVs, DVD players, VHS players. We even take videotapes and cassettes. Generally, OmniSource will take 5 items, up to 5 items per trip from a car or household, and 10 of those cassette tapes or videotapes are like 1 item. So people can take quite a few to the location there, but just take it. If they'll take it, then we'll recycle it.
It's interesting. It's not just the electronic device itself, but it may be a product associated with an electronic item that, like you mentioned, video cassettes. They don't run on batteries or electricity, but go into your VCR or DVD player. Those are the kind of things that can also be taken out to OmniSource.
Yeah. Yep, 1430 Meyer Road. That's their retail location is what they call it. And, just pull in. If you can get it there, they'll unload it. And they make it really easy.
And you mentioned there is a fee involved.
Yep, $5 for up to 5 items. It's a flat fee, so whether you take 1 item or 5 items, it's $5 regardless.
And is there a limit to how much you can take, say, over a certain period of time?
We like to limit it to 15 items per household per year. Sometimes we'll make a special exception, but that's just generally the guideline we like to work with.
Now, obviously, recycling is a good way to dispose of these properly, but there's also a prospect of reusing some of these, and especially if they are still in fairly good working condition.
Yeah, if they're outdated for you, but they still work, there's definitely some local nonprofits here in town that would love to get their hands on them, like Goodwill, Salvation Army, Habitat, any of those places. I'm sure would love to be able to use them.
Now, if I'm not certain whether I've got the kind of thing like, say, a really old scanning machine or laptop, phone, anything like that, if I'm not certain whether my product fits into the category of what you're talking about, how can I find out? Is there a list available somewhere?
Yeah, you can visit our website at acwastewatcher.org, and we have a pretty detailed list on there of what can be recycled through our program and maybe some other locations that are maybe more convenient.
Well, Austin, thanks a lot for your time. We appreciate it. It's good information to pass along, and for folks to be aware that if you start placing, try not to drop it, things such as old laptops or old electronic equipment out on the curb, you may wind up seeing one of these green tags put on it. And if you do, that means obviously they're not going to take the item, and there is information on the sticker to let them know exactly where you can go to dispose of it properly, get it recycled properly, and hope folks will take that into consideration, especially after the holidays. If you've gotten some of the new electronic items and you're looking to get rid of the old stuff, not only recycle but reuse possibly.
And if they have any questions, our phone number and website is on the sticker as well, so they can give us a call or go online and check out more information.
Austin, thanks again. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And before we leave you on this edition of County Line, we want to show you a new service that's being made available now through the Allen County Public Library, the City of Fort Wayne, and Allen County government. It's called Video on Demand, and it offers you the opportunity to watch some of the programming that we provide on public access television through your computer at your leisure, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anytime you'd like to watch. Now, the easiest way to get there is just to go to our website, which is allencounty.us, and we've called it up on the screen. And if you look over to the right-hand side down at the bottom, where we have our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook links, there's also a link to Video on Demand. When you click on that, that will bring the service up to you. And as you can see, there are already several different programs that are up and available, videos that you can watch. Fort Wayne City Council, the Allen County Commissioners Meeting, Cable Fund Advisory Board with the city. As I mentioned, also the Allen County Public Library puts up a number of the video offerings that they have on public access television. If you're looking for something specific, say you're wanting just to see some of the county programming that's available, you can click here, go to county, and it will sort the programs for you that the county has put up. If you even want to go deeper into that, you can type a word such as council if you're looking for county council meetings, and there are some of the county council meetings that are up. Normally these go up somewhere 48 to 72 hours after the actual meeting has occurred. So again, if you go to allencounty.us, look for the video on demand link that we have. This offers you the opportunity to watch any of these meetings, again, at your leisure, at home. They are the meetings in full, also any other video offerings that we have, such as our County Line programs, will be put up in full. You'll be able to scan across to find specific areas in the meeting that you want to look at, but the meetings in their entirety are there. So if you happen to miss it on the public access television, you will have the opportunity to see it online, on your computer, at home, at work, wherever you are, where you have access to the internet. So once again, go to www.allencounty.us, find the video on demand link, click on that, and check out this new service being provided free of charge to you. That does it for this edition of County Line. I'm Mike Green, the Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office. We hope to see you next time on County Line.